Hello, Savvies! Welcome to your Tuesday Live. Let's see here. If you guys can hear us and see us, give us some comments in the comment box there. I want to know, where are you from? And what is your Enneagram type if you know it already? And if you don't know it, let us know that too.
It's good
Put it right there in the
start.
bottom. I'm Katie Day. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at the Virtual Savvy. I am a mother of 4. I am into comedy and writing comedy. I'm host a podcast over at Shaylee and Katie's Lemonade Stand. And I'm an obsessive entrepreneurship, and I'm obsessed with the Enneagram. Chachi, who are you?
Wow. I was not prepared for this part. Prepared for everything else. My name is Chachi Diaz. I am the Senior Director of Sales and Technology at the Virtual Savvy. I too am a serial entrepreneur, which basically means I just start a business, go do it for a year, and then start another one. Been doing this for about a year with the Virtual Savvy, but have done sales funnels, web design, and graphic design for about 10 years or so. I'm a dad of, I was about to say a mom of one. I'm not a mom of one. I'm a dad of one.
You're one of my favorite mom friends.
Thanks. I'm a dad of one. I am a husband to a 3. We're talking Enneagram numbers. And
Wait,
I myself am a 9. What?
You're a dad to 1, but you're a husband to 3?
To a 3. I said a 3 if we're talking Enneagram. And I made that distinction because I know who I'm on the live with. So I cannot slip up. I cannot slip up. So I am a 9. I don't think you told everybody what your Enneagram number is.
Can you guess?
Yeah. Shocker. She's a 7. She brings the party. Yes. Diaz and Day. That is who we are.
Diaz and Day is our buddy cop nickname. Tell them what Diaz means.
Well, it is a variation of day.
We found that out on like his first day of work, and I was like, brother.
It's like day and day. Diaz and Day. Good cop, bad cop.
Good bad cop. Who's the bad cop?
It depends on what day it is.
Depends on what Diaz it is. Up top. I think we have a slight delay, which is going to kill my comedic timing and make me
man.
Okay, so if you're just joining us, drop your Enneagram number in the comments, and we're going to get started here. Okay, so if you are new to the Enneagram is the study of 9 interconnected personality types. So today we're going to focus a little bit on the weaknesses and the areas of growth, but don't let this get you down, because this is not meant to be limiting, okay? It's supposed to empower you. Sometimes when you see a list of your weaknesses listed out and it's not so personal, you can kind of think of them objectively and come up with strategies to attack them. So that's what we're going to talk about today, specifically weaknesses as entrepreneurs, weaknesses as virtual assistants, people who are essentially their own boss or they're working from home, what you might encounter by your type, and some hot takes and hot tips on how to combat those struggles. Am I right?
You are right.
And as Ian Cron says, the Enneagram master, the Enneagram doesn't put you in a box. It shows you the box you're already in and how to get out of it.
Yes, and I think it's really important that we really establish something. And you said it really good. So I'm just going to kind of piggyback off of it. Is that some people really don't like personality tests or Enneagram tests because it feels like it puts them in a box and it doesn't really define who they are as a person. Like they lose their personhood or their identity or their uniqueness if they are defined by a number. But one of the brilliance of the Enneagram, and really the gift of the Enneagram, is that it really does show you who you already are, but there's also such depth to this Enneagram. So there's different wings and there's different subtypes, and then there's different places that you go in health. And so there's like an infinite number of different variations that you can be on any one given day. And it doesn't mean that you are this one specific thing, this one specific number. It means you are a combination of all the different variations, which really bring out the nuances of the human person. So we are not saying that you are any one thing. This is merely a way to show us who we are and to kind of illuminate the places where we can do better and really our strengths and all those good things. So all that being said, go ahead.
That was gorgeous. Can I say?
Thank you.
That was gorgeous.
Thank you.
Comment below if you think that was gorgeous. Also, I'd like to point out that we all have the potential to unlock the strengths of all numbers. That's our goal as humans, right? So let's get started with type 1. So if you've never heard of the Enneagram, we're just going to do a brief overview and then we're going to dig in. So the perfectionist, the core desire is to be right or to be good. Their core fear is being wrong or being bad. Their wounding message, I'm going to level with you guys. These wounding messages like kill me. It's not okay to make mistakes. This might be the thing that they hear in their head all day long. A description of their best, they're honest, they're dedicated, self-disciplined, responsible, and ethical. But when stressed, they can be critical, rigid, judgmental, resentful, and inflexible. So we have a couple quotes here from some ones near and dear to our heart. The first person I'm going to quote is my business partner at my podcast. Her name's Shaylee, and she's a 1. And her quote is that even though she's her own boss, her boss, which is me, is the worst. It never lets up on her. It doesn't give her any breaks. So she actually refers to herself as my boss got me in trouble again because she might set an extremely unrealistic deadline. She might guess that the client wants an unrealistic deadline, even though she kind of made up the whole thing. So you can kind of limit yourself into this perfectionist vision that no one actually asked for but you. She says, don't project unrealistic deadlines you think your client wants and then stay up all night to hit them. You made up that deadline yourself. Then we've also got our resident 1 at the Virtual Savvy, Melissa, our operating officer. She says, for me as a 1, I want to be perfect at everything, the perfect worker, wife, and mom. I want to be all the things and have a perfectly clean home. And the kids also must be well behaved. So as you can imagine, that'd be like that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself all the time that nothing can ever be out of line. Melissa says one of her strategies is she actually reminds herself when she goes there that she's a 1 and that learning the Enneagram was actually really freeing for her because she can see the flaws easily in herself. She can also see the flaws easily in other people, like her kids. But it helped her to realize that literally all of us are in, everyone has a list of flaws that they need to work on. So it helped her with a lot of grace and helps her with patience with the kids. It even says it helps her let go of the dirty dishes. So one of our team rules is action over perfection. So my advice would be maybe make a rule, since you love rules, that you have to submit the project at a certain time and then stop tweaking. Stop it. Anyone here 1? We got Lois.
I also do want to say, so you are, if you've never done the Enneagram before, or you've only done a test or 2, you're going to notice some of these traits. Let's say, for example, in type 1, you're going to see some of these things in yourself, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are a 1. So you'll see a lot of people posting wing 1, wing 2. So that means that you have a primary number and then you have the different wings on either side. For 1, it would be a wing 9 or a wing 2. And then of course you're going to go to different stresses. So again, there's those variations of all these different things. So the best way to find your primary number is, I think the overall best way would be, to grab an hour with a coach. We use Marcy. We should really shout out Marcy's email and her website somewhere. But that's who we use as a company.
Put in the comments.
Yeah. Our team's going to put it in the comments. That's what Abby does all the time. And then it works. So it just magically happens. So, but she worked with each one of us to take a really comprehensive test. We talked it out and we kind of figure out what our actual primary number is. And then we kind of go from our wings from there. So you're going to see a lot of different variations of who you are as a person.
So true. I'm a 7 and I go to a 1 in stress. So all this hits close to home. Usually I can check in and be like, I must need some self-care right now because I'm sure acting like all of these qualities,
Which is the beauty of the Enneagram, is that once you start seeing your stress traits is when this is what I mean when I say it's illuminating. You begin to recognize, okay, I'm doing this. I'm probably stressed out. What are the things that I can kind of self-correct myself and bring myself to a very healthy balance?
Absolutely.
Good point. Cool. We going to type 2?
Let's do it.
All right. Type 2. So mention in the comments if you're a type 2. Your core desire is to love and be loved and to be wanted. And then obviously the core fear is you are unloved and you are unwanted. So yes, again, these wounding messages are like very hard to hear, but it's not okay to have your own needs. Now, I'm not saying that it's not okay this is what 2s tell themselves. I am not okay to have my own needs. I have to always be with somebody else. Yes. Type 2 represent, yes. Emily's yes. And we have these people Melanie and Emily work with the TVS and they're part of our students' journeys. Yes, no shame. So that's why Rachel, Melanie, Emily are all in their great positions because they love serving and they love helping. Interesting thing about type 2 is that mothers usually mistype as a type 2 because they're already in a very loving, nurturing state, especially those new mothers, and they're just having all of their being is about serving and serving their families. And so that is going to be a part of your variation of some sort, especially if you are have a new family that you're raising. So some of the really healthy type 2s are selfless, they're warm, they're friendly, they're generous. One of my best friends is a type 2, and she the beautiful thing about her is everybody thinks that she is their best friend because she's so incredibly friendly, so incredibly warm. She goes above and beyond for everybody. So everybody thinks, well, her name's Tony. Tony's my best friend. And whereas Tony, obviously she has her friends and she has her confidants, but she's like, whoa, I give a lot. It's just who I am as a person. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony's your best friend, but are you Tony's best friend?
I've never asked the question. I don't want to know the answer. I don't want to know the answer. No,
all right,
I
Tony,
think I am.
If you're listening, comment whether Chachi's your friend.
Or don't. Just if I'm not, don't tell me, because I'm a 9. We'll get to 9s a little bit later, and you're gonna make me cry if you tell me that I'm not. All right, so let's get into the stress thing. If you are a stressed out 2, you are incredibly prideful, you're insecure, and you get possessive of your friends, but you also become inauthentic because you're flattering and you become demanding. But most importantly, as you begin to not have your own needs, and your sense of self-worth comes from the amount of people and the quality of which you serve. So it's a noble cause, but it's an unhealthy cause. So yes, you want to help people, but not at the expense of your own true self, which is really, really important. So if you are building your own business right now, you are going to, if you become this unhealthy 2, you can be very easily swayed into discounts, especially for your friends and family. Let's say that you are a brand new graphic designer, okay, and you're helping out your church, and pastor says, hey, so and so, I really loved your graphic design. Do you think you can help Jesus, and really help the church and further the mission of God, and help us out with the discount? And you should, if you're very, the very start of it. But then what can happen is that scope creep happens. Hey, so-and-so, you want to do our social media too? You're already doing this. You might as well, and then of course I'm helping God. I'm helping my pastor, helping my community. Who needs sleep? Who cares if I have 3 kids? I'm helping God, and you just start doing this. And then your dentist says, hey, I need some help with some ads, and you just say, you know what? Why not? I'm already doing it. You're my dentist. You help a lot of people. I would love to do your Facebook ads. And you just start going. And before you know it, you have 4 clients on retainer and you're getting paid $15 a month. So it's very easy. So what I would do is, before you even start putting yourself out there, if you know that you're a 2, if you know that you're susceptible to having these sort of scope creep moments, put yourself, have some rules in place already. And if whatever your rate is for my friends and my family, I'm going to discount it 15%. Okay. That's going to be, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's church. It doesn't matter if it's Jesus. It doesn't matter if it's my dentist. Everybody's going to get 10 to 15%.
Jesus physically.
He probably should get a higher discount. If we're just being honest, he should get a higher discount. But whoever it is that you're not not free in the moment. Don't make that decision is my point. Don't make that decision in the moment. Set that out before you actually start putting yourself out there, so that you don't get in the moment of feeling, oh man, I have to help this person in this moment, because that can feel really, really urgent and you can make some bad decisions. Also, time block. You know that if you want to make sure that your business isn't taking away, so much time from your family, then you need to time block that time from 5 to 10 p.m. I'm going to boom. That's my family time. And there's nothing in there that's going to take away from my family time, right? Understand your why you're doing it, and make sure that you time block what your actual time is for work, and then time block actual time for your family.
That's beautiful.
So I haven't seen all these.
Yeah, we have some tips from our twos from TBS, Emily, Rachel, and Tiffany, and Melanie. We got four twos. They say, guard your own time and make sure that you're not just honoring someone else's priority. I think that's everything. My mom's a 2, and I know that it's you serve and you serve and you serve. But if you do feel like you're getting taken advantage of some point, it can kind of backfire, and then you feel really resentful of what you've given. So don't get to that point. Try to guard yourself before that.
Awesome. I'm just kind of on retainers with dentists. Get it? Braces, retainers. Courtney is.
We have a lot of really funny stuff going on here.
Yes, for sure. All right. Should we go into threes? All right. Let's go into threes.
Let's go into threes.
So I am married to a 3, and I get to see the full weight of threes on a daily basis, and they're incredible people. Their core desire is to be valuable, to be admired. Their core fear is obviously the exact opposite of that, not being valuable, not being admired. And I would say, at least for my 3 at home, and I'll get to some of the things that she told me, because obviously I wanted to get her permission and ask her.
Oh, look who's joining us.
There she is. Oh man, now she's watching. So this should be good. This should be good. I think her core fear is failure. She doesn't want to fail. And she'll tell me that all the time. And we have conversations about it all the time. I don't want to fail. They are, and this is for sure, Emily, they're very confident. They're very efficient. They're very energetic, especially for Emily. No one will outwork her. She has always said, there's some people that may be smarter than me, but no one will outwork me. And it's true. She's the hardest worker in the room, especially for things that she knows that she needs to work on, right? So that's when I say there's some incredible people. If you surround yourself with the 3, you will grow abundantly, especially for me as a 9, which again, we'll get into. When they are stressed, they can become inauthentic. Some of the things that Emily told me, and I want to say these here almost word for word. She said something to the effect of, I thought I wrote it down, something to the effect of, you can become a chameleon to other people because you want to people please and you want to be what they need, because that's a form of achievement, right? To be what they want you to be. So you become a chameleon, but you begin to get burnt out because you're so many things to so many different people. The burnout comes again when you have your checklist and then you think that I need to get this done, this done, this done, and this done. So you have 18 things on your checklist. And because you're an achiever, you are going to get 18 of those things done. But at the end of the day, and I think all of us have felt this at some point in time, you hit 4, maybe 3, or the day just kind of gets away from you and you get 2 out of 18. And that for some of us is like, all right, I'll try again tomorrow. But to a 3, it's, I failed. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. In that it's a very internal struggle that begins to happen. Checklists are much more than checklists. That's their way of life, a way of being. So if you are a 3, one of the things that I would stress to you is to take your time and understand that building a business is going to take a lot of time, and you cannot do all things all the time, all at once. And that there are some days that you are going to have to be in the ebbs and flows of your business, and you're going to have to come out of it, take care of yourself, take care of the people around you, and understand that there are relationships that you need to still be a part of, and that your business will continue to grow. Even if you're not constantly working in it, your business still actually grows, and that you don't need to compare yourself to other people. You are perfect just the way that you are. You have worth, you have self-worth that is apart from the things that you do. It is who you are as a person. So I think that's really, really important. Wow.
Did anyone else feel like we're kind of like the third wheel, Chachi just like giving his wife? I thought it was going to get personal. Like sometimes you need to watch Netflix with your husband, even if it's a show you don't love.
That too.
And maybe don't watch the next episode until he gets home. Like I thought it was going to get really personal. I love that. And then just kind of like a lighthearted tip, working from home, which sounds great, can actually be a little bit difficult for a 3, I have heard, because they do like to get dressed up. So feel free to go ahead and get dressed for work and keep your environment. They love, they're an image base. They want to excel. Go ahead, make it aesthetically pleasing. It's a good mindset tip for you.
Love it. Love it.
Your wife also says her favorite Beckyism, which is our DOO in the comments, for 3s is slow down, give yourself grace as you learn a new pace.
Yeah. So Becky is obviously does coaching for the senior leaders at TVS, but we actually hired Becky to be Emily's life coach, especially during this past year, because it was just a crazy year and she just wanted something else to kind of make her keep growing. And so that was something that I guess she worked on with Becky. And Becky's thing is slow down, give yourself grace as you learn a new pace. I love that.
We got Destiny and we got Erica that are 3s. I'm loving it. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Should we move on to the 4s?
Let's do it.
Also, if any of you guys have tips about your own number, feel free to throw them in there and we'll read those too.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so the 4s. I am a fake 4. I thought I was a 4. I was just like I was trying to test as a 4, but I did get in the 90s, so I can relate to a lot of these things. Their core desire is to be authentic, being uniquely themselves, and their core fear is not having an identity, having no significance. I've heard the phrase, something's missing in you, you're not enough, or for some people, you feel like too much. But they are so creative and expressive and introspective and compassionate. The 4s in my life make my life beautiful just by being near them. And then when they're stressed, they can be moody, stubborn, temperamental, and they can be withdrawn and depressed. I think my friend 4 that says her impression of herself in a bad mood is like, oh, well, then I just won't talk. Go ahead. And they just kind of withdraw and are like, no, it's fine. Go ahead. So obviously you can see those tendencies in yourself and think, oh, I'm probably under a little bit of stress right now. So 4s as an entrepreneur, we have a resident 4 on the team, Angela, shout out. And I loved what she wrote. We interviewed the team for their entrepreneur advice here. So she says, as a 4, I value beauty above most things. And she can get caught up in creating my ideal, making it hard to do mundane tasks. So then you can put them off until you're in the right mood, but sometimes you're never in the right mood to learn like QuickBooks, right? So what her reminder is that she can make any task beautiful, and that creativity, let's see here, I want to read it exactly because it's really good. Any task can be beautiful when you add your own insight to it, and remind yourself that sitting down and doing the work leads to creative inspiration. I love that. So then my 2 cents for that is, because I have a lot of tendencies in the 4, is I will pair a terrible mundane admin task. If I know it's on my list, I know I have to do it. So I used to be a full-time wedding photographer. There are some photo shoots that are like creatively mind-blowing. And there are some photo shoots that are, this is a real thing. I took 87 businessmen's individual headshots with the same background. Some of them were bald and had a little shiny head, had a, little retouchy touch. That's not a terribly creative task. So I would pair that because otherwise I'd just like put it off forever. But I would pair that with saying, I'm going to go to the most beautiful coffee shop in town, and I'm not leaving this coffee shop until I'm done with this task. I'm going to have the most beautiful latte with the latte art, and I'm going to listen to like that super emo classical music. I'm just like going to make everything around me beautiful while I do this horribly unbeautiful task. And that's something that motivates me personally. So if you're 4, holler in the comments.
So 87 headshots of the same background and the same subject.
Okay. I didn't know you were going to ask a follow-up, but can I tell you that I was pregnant and I threw up at the shoot. It was like,
wow.
Because I'm a 7 and we don't like pain. Spoiler. Sometimes if something like embarrassing happened or awkward at a shoot, then I'm procrastinating the shoot just because like I don't want to think about it. I don't want to relive it. So that was like a really hard shoot to edit for me because I was like, I can't believe I threw up in front of 87.
Relive the pain twice.
It's the suits. So I had to really up the.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, Kim Rin says emo classical is the best. Thanks, Kim. Not everyone knows that genre that I just made up. Chachi, do you know any 4s?
Do I know any 4s in my life? You know what? I really don't have any 4s in my life. Emily just said that she thinks she might be a wing 4, which she could be. I don't know. I don't really have any 4s in my life. But now I'm kind of thinking maybe I wish that I do, because when you were describing things are beautiful and they're, in touch, and it's like, man, I could use 4s in my life. But no, I don't really have any 4s in my life. And that's kind of sad. It makes me sad now.
Well, you have Tony, so. All right, let's go on to 5s.
All right, 5. So 5 is I'm a 99% 9, but I also have like a 96% 5. We do have a 5 here with us today with Becky Johnson. She is the ultimate 5. If there's ever a 5, Becky is the 5. They are capable. They want to be capable and to be competent. And their core fear is obviously being incapable and being incompetent. Their wounding message: it's not okay to be comfortable in the world. They're incredibly observant, objective, and insightful, independent. And then when they are stressed, they withdraw. They become arrogant, a little bit cynical. No. Indifferent, distant. No. But when we were talking and asking about these things from Kim and Becky, it was really interesting. They actually said the same thing. They can research and research and research, and then they'll research and research again. It's all about investigating what is the best thing, right? Or I got to know this from a bunch of different angles. I have to ask questions. They're going to be incredibly insightful because they are incredibly smart when it comes to research. And so what that lends to, especially if you're going to start the new business, is you can have that shiny object syndrome, but you're not starting something. You're beginning to research what this new thing is. And then you're going to research what this new thing is. And then you're going to research what that new thing is. And then you never actually implement into a plan of action something. Where did that research come from? Is that a really good article? So down rabbit holes, and you never actually start something. And so I do this a lot as well. But again, I'm married to a 3, and 3s are like, let's go here, let's achieve, let's do it. So that's why it's been a really good thing for me to be married to a 3, is they want, like, okay, when are we going to do this? And Emily asks me all the time, okay, when are you going to do that? Right? Because most of the time I'll respond to something, to like, hey, can we call about this return? I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll call this week. No. Like, can you do it right now? Are you going to do it? Can you schedule a time to actually do that? Let's put a plan of action in place. Where I'm thinking, no, let me look at my schedule. I'm going to time block a place for it. And then maybe I got to make sure if it's good with my productivity. I'm going to surround it, and I go a bunch of different, but it's about putting the plan of action into place. So if you are this type 5 investigator and you do go down those rabbit holes, obviously scheduling is really good, because you can actually, you can say, I'm going to research this for one day, and tomorrow I'm going to put this into place. Or you pair yourself with a 3, or even better, you pair yourself with a 7. 7s don't care. Hey, is there a cliff there? Let's jump. Do you have a parachute? I don't know. That doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. And then you jump, right? So pair yourself with somebody who is going to challenge you to put something into place and to stop thinking and to just go action over perfection, right? That's what we're all about.
Boom. Unless that 7 has a 6 wing. Bum,
Dun, dun,
bum,
dun.
bum. So Chachi and I are going to we're going to tag team because this is my
get in
wing.
the fields.
And this is where Chachi goes to stress. So Chachi, why don't you read your first note here for 6s?
So my 6 is when I go to 6, it's everyone hates me. Everyone hates me. No one likes me. No one likes me. My children hate me. My mom wishes she never gave birth to me. She hates me. Like it's intense. So let's just go there. Let's just go there.
Yeah, let's go there. So the 6s want to be secure and to be supported. Their core fear is being without support, without guidance. In general, they're an insecure, high anxiety type in general. Their wounding message is it's not okay to trust yourself. So they have issues making decisions because they'll go back and forth. But they're really loyal and witty. They're like my funniest people in my life. They're super committed. They're prepared. They're responsible. They're the ones that when the pandemic happened, they were like, I've been waiting for this my entire life. Like, yeah, I'm ready. They're troubleshooters, and they can be very supportive. And when they're stressed, they can be anxious, rigid, paranoid, pessimistic, and hypervigilant. If you're trying to make a decision, get a 6 in there with you because they will help you come up with everything that could possibly go wrong so that then you arrive at the right decision, which sounds exhausting, but is actually very useful. So yes, I have a huge 6 wing. Sarah Austin on the team has a quote. She says she always feels like a failure. And if she doesn't feel like a failure, she's pretty sure it's about to fail at any point in time. And I said, right, correct. Yeah. Either it's going well and it's going to stop going well, or it won't go well. So don't we sound fun? With our Enneagram coach, she said, whenever I feel myself going into my 6 wing, which is a constant, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? What could go wrong? She said, take a breath, take a pause, and ask yourself, but what could go right? Because if there's a chance it could work out too. I know that seems rare and crazy in your mind, but it could go right as well. Sarah also says it's important to stop and look at what you have accomplished in the past and remember that failure is inevitable. It will happen, but what you do with it is what makes or break your business. So use it to fuel your next step. And we've got to find our way to mentally separate ourselves from our business to stay in a healthy state of mind. Because feeling like you're going to fail, it will hold you back if you let it.
For sure. So Gabriella says, I am a 6. So Gabriella, see if you share this with me. So when something goes awry, right, and you go into, I'm not sure what your stress level is, but what your stress number is, but mine's a 6. And so I begin to play and put this story in my head about everyone hates me, nobody likes me, or this and that. And so one of the things that Becky's really worked on with me is she's told me this phrase, and so I prepare it for myself and repeat it to myself. Who is the author of this story that you are telling yourself? Like, is it you, or is it based in any sort of reality? And 10 times out of 10, it is not based in reality. It is a complete story, complete fabrication that I have told myself based on these bunch of different voices in my head from my type 6 negative energy. So I thought that was really important.
So good.
Yeah.
So
why don't we skip 7 for now, and we'll go. Yeah. Just joking.
Just skip it.
7s are a lot, so why don't we just skip over? Just go straight.
Honestly, I'd be so embarrassed to talk about myself, so let's just skip it.
No, let's do it. I'm so ready.
I'd be too embarrassed to be in the spotlight.
Yeah,
hate it. Should
I know. You're the worst.
Okay. Yeah. Our core desire is to be content or to be satisfied. Are there any other 7s in the house?
There has to be 7s. There has to be 7s.
essentially, our fear is to be deprived or to be trapped in pain. I like that it said, usually I hear ones that are just to be in pain, but to be trapped in pain is more expressive of what it feels like. It's like, it's not going to hurt for a second. I'm going to have to live in pain the rest of my life, which is not true usually when you just have to file your taxes for 30 minutes. They are adventurous, imaginative, enthusiastic, spontaneous, and positive. Yes, Rachel. Yes. And when they're stressed, they can be unfocused, superficial, restless, impulsive, escapist, and self-absorbed. What?
No.
Should I see?
No. Oh gosh. That one hurt me.
So
that was
did it?
Yeah.
It's very true. Okay, so here are my tips as a serial entrepreneur, which is actually kind of a symptom of being a 7. It's like, this could be great and this could be great. And also, if you've been around the virtual savvy for a while, you might be familiar with a little lady I call America's sweetheart, Abby Ashley, who is a 7 wing 8. We'll get to 8s in a second. This is her like 78th business. So if that tells you anything about 7s, we've got a lot of ideas and only a little bit of follow through. So she paired up with Melissa, the 1, to nail down that follow through. And here we are all today. So good job. But my practical tips are, number 1, if you take nothing away from this, but this is turn off your notifications. And when I say turn them off, I mean all of them. I mean your texts. I don't know if I get texted. I have to, there's no badge, there's no alert. I have to unlock the screen, open the text app, and then I find out. If I have something beeping at me, there's no chance. There's no hope.
Is that why like you left me on red? Like that's why you haven't responded to my text message? Because you don't know when you get texted ever?
Well, me and Tony, and because she's my best friend and I didn't want to be disturbed, so I was just giving her all my presents.
Fair enough.
The other thing is time blocking is great for 7s as well, because we have a tendency to jump from task to task to task. So if there's any possible way to close any tab or any browser or any ClickUp thing that isn't the task you're actually working on, that is extremely useful, and then stay with that task until that time block is up. I can't tell you what a game changer that has been for me. And then on a personal note, we're people. We're people persons. We're person people. We're one of those things. And I find it challenging to be alone all the time. So I used to be a solopreneur. So even though I was like working from home with no Slack, like there was no other people. And it was a dark time. So I found I had to go work from coffee shops or work from the library or schedule a co-working date with a friend just to have some of that energy. I don't necessarily have to be in conversation with someone. I think this is a common extrovert misnomer, is they think like we're the ones on the plane wanting to talk to everybody. Like, no, actually, I'm very content to sit beside you and read my book and not engage this entire flight. But I like that you're here. It's kind of interesting. I might like peek over at what you're reading and eavesdrop a little bit. There's energy here just from you being here, but no, I don't necessarily want to like talk to you. And let's see. Also, if you can pair nonverbal mindless tasks to listening to like a podcast, you get some of that same energy of conversation and people. That's some of my hacks for 7s.
You should share like what you actually do on a weekly basis. Like you have kind of like a co-working space that you actually participate in.
Oh, wow. I run a lot of different places from there. I'm like, first of all, lunch with Tony on Monday, lunch with Tony Tuesday. But I actually hang with Tony's mom on Wednesday. Okay. Before the pandemic, I rented a room from the library with my library card. And it was like my go-to space because I could have worked from home, but I prefer to not work from home. I'm home right now because my kids are home for the summer in the basement. It's a cool basement. That sounded anyway. But then libraries kind of shut down. It's not like a place you're supposed to just hang out in during the pandemic because, of like, I think diseases spreading. I'm not a scientist. I think there was something about there was a disease and it was spreading. So what I did with my fellow friend who also worked from home, we both decided to turn her home into a co-working space for the two of us. And I would go into one room and she would go in the other. And it was just really nice because occasionally you get coffee at the same time. But for the most part, I was in my meetings and she was in hers. But it was an excellent way to work from home from someone else's home and still feel energized.
For sure. So don't work in a dungeon is what we're saying.
Oh, did we both just pull up the same one at the same time?
We did.
Christy, I'm not saying it's not a dungeon.
True.
They know what they did. All right. Let's move on to the 8s.
Okay, and before you get to the 8s are really challenging for me. 8s are very difficult for me. And I was afraid that when I met Jared, your husband, I wasn't going to like him because he's an 8. But I really do like Jared because he's very special. So explain what an 8 is, and you'll know if you are a 9 why you wouldn't like 8s. But continue.
I don't know. I think you have an 8 wing because sometimes you just, I don't know. You're confusing. Is anyone in the chat an 8? I have to know if you're going to weigh in on this. Becky says this live has taken a turn. We knew it would at some point, guys. They left us in here with no adults. Okay. 8s they are so passionate. So their core desire is to be independent, to protect themselves, and their core fear is being controlled or being harmed. And their wounding message, which breaks my heart, is it's not okay to be vulnerable. You have to be like, the strongest person in the room 100% of the time. They're very protective. They're very energetic, decisive, loyal, resilient, and direct. And under stress, they can be insensitive, manipulative, controlling, intimidating, rebellious, and confrontational. Why would that scare you, Chachi?
Oh my gosh. Especially when they're big people. It's like, oh my gosh, let me go into my shell. Biceps? Yeah, Jared's biceps are impressive. So there's that.
Yes. It's very tricky being married to an 8 when they're feeling confrontational and your core desire is to avoid any form of pain. So it's been quite a ride, but we've got it down now. Anytime I learn about other 7 and 8's marriage, I'm like, I've got so many tips. How much time do you have? So hit me up after, and I'll do a very specific marriage training. But the best part about 8s, and Abby has an 8 wing. So like, if 6s are afraid of everything, 8s aren't afraid of anything. So it's actually kind of amazing because the whole action over perfection thing, I'm convinced that's a core difference. Even though Abby and I are both 7s, I'm like, well, what could go wrong? Better not. And she just got this fearlessness to her that's like, it might go wrong, but let's see. And she just does it. And it's this bold, like, leadership that I love about 8s. So actually 8s make great entrepreneurs and great leaders. Like if you are an 8 and you're a VA, you might be the perfect candidate to bring, build a team underneath you and have, your own little agency. So some of the tips for entrepreneurs who are 8 is you make a lot of really fast judgment and decisions. When I say judgment, I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. Judging, just like deciding, like this is good or this is bad. I should do this. I should not. It's one of the gut types. So you actually just kind of feel it, and it just feels right or wrong right off the bat. That can sometimes backfire. So my advice to 8s would be take a pause. Maybe don't respond right away if it's a client asking for something. If you could ask for advice before responding, have someone look through, make sure they're seeing what you're seeing. And in general, learn to just be a teachable person because you don't know everything. You don't know everything.
So good.
You know a lot of stuff, but you don't know everything, right?
Yes. Very good.
Let's see if there's any here. We got a lot of plot twist. Somebody asked earlier, is it only TVS members in this live? And the answer is yes. We're just hanging out here together.
Because we're all obsessed with the Enneagram.
We are.
We're all obsessed with the Enneagram. And so so as we get into nines, keep this kind of front and center, because you're going to recognize why, as a 9, 8s are very challenging for us. So we want to be 9s at peace and in complete harmony with the people around us, like with the earth. I mean, we need complete harmony. We do not want to be separated. Wow. We do not want to have any conflict. And one of the things that I tell myself on a daily basis is I can't speak up. Nobody cares about what I think, or I'm gonna disrupt somebody. Andrea, let's be friends, because we need friends. But 9s get along with everybody. They're amiable, they're open-minded, they're optimistic, they're non-judgmental. Like, usually if you meet a 9, you're gonna like them, right? They're going to. Okay. I think so. I mean, if you meet a 9, Abby said it herself. You should let other
people say that, but that's fine.
Yeah. But when you are stressed, okay, and let's say that you need to have a difficult conversation, but you are stressed, you're going to avoid it like the plague. You become indecisive, unassertive, passive aggressive, stubborn, insecure. And I would also add, you become very introverted. You go inside and you begin to just internalize all these negative feelings. And then maybe one day you just kind of explode in a very non-healthy way. I've never done that before, but that's a thing that might happen, presumably.
And we have a special guest, Emily Diaz, to comment.
So that's so 8s are very challenging, especially if they are a very unhealthy 8, and they're chaotic and they're manipulative and they're assertive. And it's like, whoa, they can be very overwhelming to exist in that same sort of space. But usually if they're really, really healthy, 9s really love them, because they see they admire their assertiveness, because we need to be assertive. It's what we are telling all our 9 secrets. There is a very 9s just like are very, very harmonious with one another. It's all about the love, So I usually make the joke, don't make me cry,
I have a rebuttal. I
What's
gotta
that?
get to the bottom of it. And then we can get to entrepreneur tips, but this is why you're a puzzle to me. Okay. All that sounded so sweet. Chachi's so easy to go along with. Oh, he likes everything. Okay, hear me out though. How do you feel about Brussels sprouts?
Oh man, I knew you were gonna go there. Okay, let's just now. This is really gonna take a turn. Okay, Brussels sprouts why do you have to wrap it in bacon? Why do you have to do all this stuff? Like when somebody says, oh, but have you had it like this? Why do you need to do that with a specific fruit, like a food? Like, why do you need to do that? Then that means that a Brussels sprout tastes horrible. Like, I don't get the love if you have to do all of this certain stuff to a Brussels sprout. Why you have to do that?
You don't like Brussels sprouts?
I don't, no.
Okay, so at the senior leaders retreat, everyone had a Brussels sprout, said these are the best roasted Brussels sprouts I've ever had. Chachi, will you try one? So I'm just check the script here. Amiable, open-minded, optimistic, non-judgmental, supportive, and peaceful. So you wouldn't eat one?
Because in my heart, I already knew that it was okay. I wasn't stressed out, so I was able to assert myself because I was comfortable with the people around me, and I was in harmony with the people around me. So I asserted my own voice and said, "No, Katie, I will not eat that Brussels sprout."
So I'm supposed to be proud of you?
You're supposed to be proud of me. You're supposed to respect me as a person.
Okay.
Because it is. Boo! Christy knows what's up.
Chachi just heard Dreamweaver.
That's right.
Oh, Emily Diaz is still here. He moves to stress in Brussels sprouts.
It's really the one thing that just triggers me to a very non-healthy place. Can you describe the flavor of us? I think this has to be rated G though, right? It's rated G. So it smells. I mean, it tastes like. What's the really like the medical term? Like flatulence is what it.
That sounds closer than farts to me.
Yeah. So
it tastes.
So let's move on. Yeah, it tastes like farts. It smells like it too. So let's move on to the good stuff.
Yeah, well, hang on. This is important. So Janina, are you a 9? So she would have kept the peace, even though she knows she hates them. See, that's what I was expecting from you.
Yeah, no.
I want you to be less healthy.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Not when it comes to Brussels sprouts.
As an entrepreneur, hit me.
Okay, so as an entrepreneur, you are going to want to create all these different businesses because you are open-minded, right? You want to try all these different things. But you are going to have to make some decisions when you get stressed, because obviously the ebbs and flows of a business aren't exactly what you probably expected them to be. You're going to want to sit there in this indecisive, in this what makes you comfortable, right? This harmonious nature is also about what makes you comfortable. So you're not going to want to take really the next step in maybe becoming full-time. If you want to bring on another person, especially if you go to that unhealthy 6, you may say, well, if I hire a person, then what happens if I need to let them go? And that's going to be awkward, right? So I'm just not going to hire another person. Or let's say that you take on a client that is a really, really unhealthy client. They're not a good client for you to have. They're not your ideal client. It's just not a really good business relationship. You can go on and on, rather than saying, you know what, I don't think this is a really good partnership for either one of us. You're probably not my ideal client, and I'm probably not your ideal VA, but you'll continue to go on just for the sake of conflict avoidance. And so you're going to begin to, and I did this myself, you built a business that you hated. So early on in my graphic design company, I started to, I had a lot of clients. It was great. Emily helped me out in the very early stages of just, communication and things like that. It was awesome. Then I built a business that I hated because I didn't like the clients that I work with. They would string me along, but I wasn't comfortable having the difficult conversations that said like, hey, you're late on your payment, or hey, I needed this stuff for your website, weeks ago, things like that. So you have to make hard decisions sometimes. And so as a 9, it's very difficult to have those difficult conversations, even though they're necessary.
So during that time, if I'd offered you a Brussels sprout, would have you eaten it?
Probably early on. Absolutely. I've worked hard. I have worked hard to assert myself and find my voice.
I missed the window where I would have enjoyed hanging out with you.
Yeah. Darn. I'm not as fun as maybe I used to be, for sure.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting. I also think it's interesting that 8s and 9s are next to each other on the Enneagram, because 8s are confrontational and 9s avoid confrontation, but you can be a 9 with an 8 wing and an 8 with a 9 wing. So my husband actually has a 9 wing, and it came out in we did a home renovation, the 1960s home. And it came out in the form of like, if the workers miss deadlines, I was like, oh, here he comes. Jared's going to lay the hammer down. Here he goes. Oh yeah, here we go. Here comes the 8. And he's like, hey man, that's cool. Like whenever you get it done. And he'd walk away. And I was like,
what?
So it can be puzzling. So do you have 8 moments?
Yeah, definitely. And this is something that we really worked on with Marcy. And this is why I really, really, especially with Marcy, it's really affordable to have this sort of coaching, especially to gift it to somebody. That I have actually gifted it to Tony, and this is how she kind of worked her way into the Enneagram too. Anyways, but it's really good because you're able to see like the things that you need to work on. And so you're able to really discover how you can move more into other parts of your wing. And so when she told me that, you want to access more of your 8 because those assertive conversations will actually lead to peace and more harmony in your life and for the people around you. And that's a goal that you actually want to attain. And once you're able to say, yeah, you know what, that would bring harmony in my life. Like there's a reason for that you would access that 8, and it would actually help your primary number. So, but you really need somebody to really talk that out with you and really challenge you, and having a coach available for that is really good in that sense.
I love that. And Marcy, yes, to quote her, she said, we believe you need both wings. Hang on. To fly straight. If you just have one, you can. So I'm a 7. Good. And 6s are scared of everything. 8s aren't scared of anything. So I need both of them to kind of.
That's really good.
Keep on going.
Jess asked this question earlier, I think, and I think we should definitely, we have some time left, but I think if we go over, it'd be a little okay. But I think this is really important to see if we can kind of dive into this quickly. What do you think?
Okay, let's do it. Virtual assistant. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. No, you go.
Let's read it together.
Okay. Virtual assistant abilities and skills according to each Enneagram type. So why don't we start with 7, because those are going to be the good ones. That's the easy ones that we can. 7s and 9s. We'll start with those.
I would rather go in order, to be honest, because that's stressing me out, and I move to a 1 and stress.
Oh, geez. Okay, go 1.
Okay, 1s. Since they're the perfectionists, maybe we remind ourselves with this thing. Can you go through the thing?
Yeah, let me go with 1s.
Jess, we got this. Jess is like, I'm gonna go. Okay, so let's see. 1s would be excellent at keeping details. So let's see. Online business managers, metrics, spreadsheets, anything that involves systems.
Yep, sales funnels.
Anything that I'm thinking about, anything that Melissa does.
True.
Which is everything.
Yep.
1s can do literally everything. They really can.
That is, you know what? That is so true.
Yeah, it's true.
That is so true.
Okay. 2s.
Yeah, operations. 2s. 2s. Ooh, general VA for sure.
Absolutely. Customer service.
Yep. Customer service. If you wanted to do coaching, I'm not sure that really falls into VA, but that would be an incredible role for you. Bookkeeping. Oh, I think that's Tiffany was talking about, probably the 1, but that'd be really good. I think all around general VA would be really good for helpers. What else?
Actually, you know what? It's just occurring to me, if someone in the team wants to put our quiz to our VA personality type test, that would be helpful too, because we did do all this, but we broke it down even further. But yeah, I think anything where you're involving people and helping people, that would be awesome. Box management, Courtney says, it's a great idea. Community management, love it. Yep, number 3.
For sure. 3s. Ooh, project managers for sure. Make people actually work, stick with the deadline. I would say the very typical with 1s as well. Systems, operations, anything that has people achieving, getting stuff done is what you're gonna really gravitate towards in virtual assistants.
You would also be a 3 would be great at like a front facing position, like if you have to call somebody,
sales.
Close sales, or like if you want to supplement your VA marketing with some type of like community group you start yourself, where you go live and you're kind of actually have like some presence. 3s are great at that.
Yes. That's a really, really good point. Cool. Let's go into 4s.
4s. 4s are artists, so graphic design, anything to do with visuals would be amazing. I could see a 4 getting down on like entertainment management or a events management, where they have to put together like an event. Anything that would combine like beauty, aesthetics. Let's see here. Oh, podcast manager. That's a good one.
Oh, that's a really good one. Yeah, Kim said podcast manager. Oh, that's a really good one for 4s. Actually.
All right, 5s. Hit me. This is fun. It's like a quiz.
5. Hold on, let me take this off the screen. 5. Oh gosh. 5s. Ops, obviously. Anything having to do with metrics. Operations. Anything having to do with metrics. And I say metrics because that tells a story in and of itself, right? So you begin to research anything and everything. I would say like sales and technology, because you're going to want to research whatever is the new and the best thing. So that could be really good. Not customer service, 100%. And I could be wrong in this, but what I think to myself, not customer service, is because you don't have tolerance for people, or you're not patience for people who ask questions that they should research themselves. Yeah. Or already know.
Like, why would you not Google it?
Yeah, like why can't you do that yourself? Because I did for the past 3 hours. How come you didn't? Is what I think the natural inclination. So that I could be wrong in that, but that's kind of what I think. But ops, metrics, exactly.
Fives will give the twos the answer, and then the twos can be nice and be patient. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything data when it comes to fives is good. All right. Let's go to sixes. The skeptic.
Okay, so sixes are great at making decisions. So I would think they'd be an awesome CEO. They could be good at managing a team. I think, let's see here. I picture them in a group as like excelling in a group as the like kind of devil's advocate. Like, okay, but let's think about this. Let's think about this. Let's think about this. I don't know. Do you have anything for sixes in the comments? We have our resident sixes.
Yeah, I would say when it comes to sales funnels or web design or anything that takes like you have a lot of different facets to it, a six is really good in that sense because you're going to be thinking about all the different nuances of what could possibly happen, let's say in a launch. So maybe you are a VA that deals with tech and you're going to help somebody with the launch, a new course creator with the launch. You're going to be able to think, if this happens and we need to put this in place, we have to make sure that this is in place. So project manager would also be a good thing for a six.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that has a lot of different moving pieces, a six is going to be really well prepared for that because they're going to think of a lot of different facets. That's good. I like that, Kim. Automation is a magician. Let's move through the last three. We're past one. We knew we would. We know we'd go fast. Ooh.
Sevens, anything. Just keep changing your mind. No, I like anything creative. I love not being a solopreneur. I thought I would love being a solopreneur, but I love having a team. So if you're doing general VA work, maybe think about branching out into like a little agency. And if you want to specialize, I could see being a social media manager where you're really outward and talking to people, community manager, making social graphics, anything creative. One of my favorite parts of this job is writing and helping with Abby's YouTube channel. So we write her scripts, we write little jokes in her scripts. Even shooting, like the shoot day is really energizing for sevens. Sometimes we improvise on the spot to try to get the next little story going. That's one of my favorite parts of this job. So you could actually be a YouTube channel manager. There's lots of ways to specialize. Podcast manager. You could host a podcast.
Yeah.
Should I go on?
No, that's really good. That was really good. 8, the challenger. Here, you take this one too.
I really do think 8s make amazing leaders and CEOs. So definitely consider going the agency model if you're an 8. I mean, the sky's the limit. You could probably make a ton of money if you're an 8 and you just know how to delegate and be direct and just get the stuff done. My husband's also really
real estate contract specialists or like contract real estate VA, because again, there's a lot of moving pieces. You have to tell both clients and realtors, hey, sign your contracts. It's very date oriented, be able to have those assertive conversations. So real estate VA, I think, is a good one for 8s. HR, if you have any HR background, that'd be really good.
Good one.
Yeah, those conversations are important to have. So I would say those are probably the 8s. 8s, sales. Yeah, that's a good one. Kim says 8s for sales for 8s. That's a good one. All right. So for me and Yolanda, peacekeepers. So for me, I've always done graphic design, web design, sales funnels, all that certain stuff. Anything that really puts us in the background is what we will gravitate to. So I would not recommend, if you are a 9, that you do any sort of social media management or anything that's going to that makes you become outward. That's just very difficult.
Hosting a live about the Enneagram?
Yeah, I'm going to throw up after this. So yeah, probably not the best thing.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm nervous.
Yeah, super uncomfortable. So Melanie says course creators for 8s. That's actually really good. Course creators for 8s. But 9s, again, anything that brings you into the background. General VA would be really good for a 9.
We seem to have a lot of 9 people on our tech department, or at least have that as a wing or secondary.
Yeah, Janelle is a 2, I believe. Again, that helping sort of hand. Sarah is a 6, I believe. So again, the moving parts sort of thing also worked really, really well for the tech team. But I think that's it.
That's it, guys. Any other questions before we log off? If you haven't taken the test, they're free online. You can spring and do a $20 one, and you get a little bit more detailed info. If someone in the team wants to drop the free test, that would be perfect. Jess says, what type would be good for email marketing?
I would say, yeah, because email marketing can be so. I mean, it can be super high sales, like if you're an 8, or it can be really, really kind of a low key. There's so many cool things with email marketing because it's urgent in the frequency of the emails, but you're still kind of in the back. So would 9 be good with having an agency? If it's a healthy agency.
If you are okay, it depends on which level of 9 are you on. Are you on the eating the Brussels sprouts level, or are you on the refusing the Brussels sprouts? Because if you can refuse a Brussels sprout, you can run an agency. Absolutely.
For sure, yeah. It has to be a very healthy type of situation. Christy says, besides creative for 4s, would systems factor in? What are your thoughts?
Ooh. Would systems factor in? Yeah, I don't see why not. Especially with, I'm thinking about like, say, Dubsado, how it's actually like a very creative way to make a system, because you have to design all of the contracts and whatnot, but also just the whole setup. You're creating a system. So we don't have to be so literal about the word creative, but you'd probably enjoy doing that and probably be really great at it.
Yeah, and I don't really have any of my 4s, but when I create a funnel, I really like to see the landing pages and how unique it is to move into the next stage of the funnel, and that sort of the user experience going through there can be a really creative and really beautiful experience for everybody. So I would definitely say you could do that. Yes, for Dubsado, she says. Funnels for 4. I just want to highlight what Yolanda said. Standing my ground. I think it's really important for 9s to find their voice. Okay. I think it's super important.
I guess.
And ignore 7s in your life.
Okay. I didn't bring up the hottest argument, and I won't, or will I, right before we log off? But Chachi didn't like Hamilton.
Oh my gosh. It was too much. It's too overwhelming.
He told me. You got to take that to the grave.
You probably just turned the entire audience against me. Like,
oh, weird. It went down to 0. 37 people logged off right at one time. It's weird.
All right. Well, we've taken too much of people's time. I think we're done. I need to go throw up. So that's where we are.
I got a big old Brussels sprout salad waiting for me when I log off of this.
For sure.
With Tony, actually. She's coming over. So
right,
I will get off. And I will not check your texts.
Thank you, friends, for hanging out with us. We'll see you soon.
Don't throw away your shot.